Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Here we are again for another Q&A session with filmmakers. And today we have two very talented actors that are going to be talking about their wonderful film called Hallucinations, which will be part of the New Jersey Film Festival's U.S. Super 8 Film and Digital Video Festival, which is taking place on February 19th and 20th, online only at this point. And it'll be available for 24 hours on that day. And Hallucinations is one of the programs. It's a feature film, and it's going to be taking place on the 19th of February. You can start watching at 12:01, and you can watch it as many times as you like for 24 hours. And if you start watching it, I think you can only watch it once, actually. I'm not 100% sure. But if you start watching it late in the day, you still can watch it for 24 hours after that. So if you're in Europe, it would probably start earlier for you than the 19th. It would start on the 18th. So it really starts at 12:01 Eastern time on the 19th. And it'll fluctuate depending on where you are. But let me introduce you to these wonderful people. Michael Wilde is the director, editor, producer. I mean, he's Mr. Everything. He's Orson Welles. He's Orson Welles. And he produced this wonderful film called Hallucinations. And we have, I want to make sure I get all the pronunciations correct. We have Erika Taylor, who's up next to me. And then we have Lary, I like Lary. Lary Muller. These are two of the wonderful actors that are in this film, which I wrote down. It's a very trippy film. I mean, this film could have very easily been made in the 60s. I mean, it has that kind of vibe. But the basic premise is that, I wrote it down, aliens descend in crystal spaceships to make contact with people through guitar amp distortion and glowing animal skulls. And I watched this film once, and initially I was saying, well, it seems like it's a very trippy film, but there's a lot of other stuff going on in this movie. The soundtrack is just incredible. It moves from quiet acoustic to synthesizers. And I mean, there's so much to talk about, but I really want to ask Michael, how did you come up with this project? What was the motivating factor to make Hallucinations?
Well, I think it came from one of the best of places that a piece of film inspiration can come from. Just the city I was living in, Los Angeles, and the people I was seeing around town, their outfits, everything about them was really the motivating factor. And, after that, there were several films that I saw and pieces of theory that I read that all like sort of fed that they were like sort of inciting incidents. They made me feel as if the film was possible, because at first the issue I was dealing with was, is this film possible? How do we realize this film? And discovering that exact language it took a little time. It took about 2 years, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big Lynch fan. I teach David Lynch in my classes, and I thought Mulholland Drive, this is a film about Hollywood, but its perspective is completely different. It's a much more fractured, very, very dreamy film. I mean, we go from one person's perspective and we visit with one person, but we got a lot of photographers, right? We start with photography. We kind of end with photography. And I kept on flashing to Susan Sontag's On Photography story, which photography is all about death. And I thought, well, but this film is really about life, and and I wondered if you're a big fan of transcendental meditation, because there's this oneness, we all come together. And I wonder if that's something that you're into.
I haven't gotten into TM. I know Lynch is super into it.
Yeah.
Fun fact about Lynch, and the fact that I can't believe you brought up Mulholland Drive. He shot Mulholland Drive down the street from me. And when Sierra and I shot the sleepwalking scenes, I was walking her back to her car at like midnight because I wanted to make sure she was safe. And I was like, so there's this building on the corner where Lynch shot. She was parked right in front of it. So it's weird. We're very like tied into that like history. Lynch feels like there's a couple of locations right around my neighborhood where he shot.
Right.
So I'll watch his films and I'll just be like, that's the auto repair place on the corner. Okay, cool. I go by it every day. You know what I mean? But no, now I'm not really into TM or anything. It was a very like literary textual based process of like developing the film. I wrote about like 5 different screenplays,
Wow.
completely different films. Molly Bianca, played by Lary, was in a totally different screenplay called Illusionscape, which was the same structure that you refer to, where it's like a lot of different characters interconnected, but taking more of a social realist. And there's a perspective on it. So it's like I was trying different, let's try it as a social realist film. Let's try it as a heavily dialogue-based film. And what we finally arrived on was just working with a very visual language, a very like cinematic language to tell the story was really that's what I eventually arrived at as the best method.
I mean, I think the cast that you assembled is just amazing. I mean, the
Thank you. I love that.
Different personalities. You know, I just think well, both Sierra and Larry are just magical in the film. I mean, for everything from the kind of trying to get this stuff out of your head, Sierra, and you know the voices, and then Larry being very mystical, and you know, this muse for the philosopher who's ready to just abandon his life. And so it's wonderful to see how did you assemble this entire cast? I mean, how did you get everybody together?
So everybody was cast off basically the Breakdown services here in Los Angeles, which is like a casting service that Hollywood uses. So I found pretty much everybody in the film through there. I think I may have posted on one other website for casting. So everyone was like a professional actor. I guess some of them like were, in Europe, they used to call them non-professional actors. Like some of them were like not actors.
Right.
Some of them were like, say, I don't know, like just a writer or a dancer or who was interested. Or Lary has a big background in modeling.
Yeah.
Modeling is, I've had a lot of success working with models. They're not trained like actors, and they have they think visually.
Yeah.
They think about how they look on screen, which is, it's like I have to do less work. You know what I mean? Like they're doing part of the job for me. It's incredible. So, yeah.
I saw a short film that Larry was in. It was called The Sleeping Field. Is that right? That's the right title?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's just stunning in that film too. I mean, I think, you know, you can't take your eyes off so many of the women actors in the film, and I think that was definitely an alluring aspect. And the guys are all kind of a little seedy. Is that intentional? The guys are just out for sex.
Yeah.
Or, you know.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, not just sex. I mean, I think they're. That's another thing that was influenced by Los Angeles. I think that men in Los Angeles have started to collapse as an archetype entirely.
Well, that's
good. No, it's a relief to me.
Yeah.
Because I really, it's like a huge weight off my shoulders. I don't have to do so much male performativity anymore. So I think I'm always more, I don't know. I mean, the female characters in my films are the female and the trans and non-binary characters in my films are very strong people. As in reality, I mean, they figured something out. Whereas a lot of the male presenting characters, I think, are still struggling. They're still struggling through something. So that's why you end up with these characters like Landon or Jamesy, who's sort of like Jamesy. You know, I love the Jamesy character because he's sort of into Infinity, but then he like sort of switches and is like interviewing Infinity and is cool with Infinity dating Yarrow, and so he's like kind of like I think of him as sort of like a better example of a male character.
And I think Landon's cool too because he's concerned about his cat. And, you know, as a huge cat lover over here, I mean, I do a lot of humane work, saving strays. So it's nice to see, without giving too much away, that the cat is okay.
Oh, no, I think we should talk about the end. It's, for me personally, I feel like it's hard to talk about a text without talking about the endings as well. So I'm probably, spoiler alert, I'm probably going to like give away the ending of the film at some point if we get there. I'm just not going to try and hide that or anything.
This Q&A is meant to do what you want it to do. So, but at the same time, I would like to get these wonderful people involved too. Sierra,
Please.
tell us what the when you were working on the film. I mean, first of all, how long did it take for you to be part of this film? And when you were actually involved in it, what were some of the highlights? Some of the things that you really enjoyed working with Mike and the rest of the crew?
I submitted to the breakdown, like Michael said, and I think within a week, I think it was quick. Within a week of me submitting, Michael called me and was like, here's the thing. I envisioned this character, and then I saw your photo, and I think it's going to be like a perfect fit. And also, weirdly enough, he had bought
Yes.
overalls that Infinity wore for like a significant part of the film before casting me in this part, and they ended up fitting me perfectly, which was so strange. So that was a cool thing because it was kind of like meant to be. But working on this film, this was the first major film that I shot ever. So I really enjoyed working with Michael because he made it really comfortable for me to kind of go through my own creative process and just like really make Infinity my own character. So I had a lot of freedom in creating her and her mannerisms and just kind of, who she was, which was really awesome because I feel like a lot of times you wouldn't get that freedom, especially like straight out of, I just graduated school, like out of college, and this is the first thing that I got to work on, and it was like, wow, I want to work on, like, now I want all my films to be like this, like I want that creative freedom, but I don't think that's gonna happen. But I think the highlight was the support group scene though, for hearing voices in your heads. That was just the location was so cool that we shot at that day, and then everyone I got to meet, because that was the basically the scene that I got to shoot with the most people during the filming of this, and everyone was really interesting, and it was a really fun day. So I really like that.
I wonder, I mean, when you guys were working on this film, was QAnon a big thing?
No.
I mean,
no, and that's been a crisis for us.
Yeah.
Was that, and we've passed through it, I think, because I was telling Sierra on the phone, I have this interest in like the Cassandra effect of my films, the way they're a little predictive. And this one was a situation in which I was checking the headlines every day and being like, God damn it, no, don't, like, stop. Why are these people talking about these things? Like, this was not the intention of the film. This wasn't something that we wanted to be involved with. And the film just started getting more and more controversial. And then you guys were like, okay, we're going to premiere it. And I felt like most of the water was under the bridge by the time you guys said you wanted to do a premiere. So I'm grateful. But yeah, that was a real grueling period right there. Early 2020.
I mean, I think the fact that we don't really take a lot of features in the Super 8 film, but you know, everybody just loved your film. They thought it was crazy, that it pushed the right buttons in many ways, and you know, and I think that it's a film that forces you to connect the dots. You know, it's not a film you can sit back and just let it wash over you.
No.
You gotta invest yourself into the film. But Larry, how did you get involved in this film?
Yeah, it was a bit magical for me as well, in a way. I think I saw his poster looking for actresses, and I think I've seen the part from Molly, and I had this instant feeling that I can really connect to this character. It was like the girl of the century, very LA concentrated environment. And yeah, we were on a call, and I felt like it was just working out really well. And yeah, we were starting out real soon after we talked, and it was just really nice that there was, as Ciara said as well, so much freedom, creative freedom in creating whatever was feeling right at the moment. And yeah, it was very playful as well. We were just playing. It felt like we were playing around, trying out different things. And also Michael was just really cool with, like one day at the press conference, I couldn't be there because of work. And then he was just so creative working around that. It was really, I was just always so impressed. I think also when I first looked him up, I was just really impressed at how much he does by himself. And I had just this huge admiration for him creating those films. And like, he's just is doing his vision and he's just doing so much by himself. And then he had this crazy idea. Yeah, we were just shooting me passing by the press conference, shooting it another day. I couldn't be there. So he's just like this magician kind of working everything out. And it was just fun to see and to be part of that as well. Yeah.
I mean, the scene, I really like the scene where you're with Arcadia. I guess that's her name. The old washed up movie star who's from another era.
Mm-hmm.
And that whole interaction between you and her is really great. And I thought, again, Michael, your film in so many ways focuses on Hollywood, and you said it's about LA for sure. And I thought that scene between the two of you had this really excellent chemistry, and then also the scene at the press conference, also the fact that, you know, you're this guy's muse, even he doesn't even know you, but you set off this kind of feeling in him. And I think that's the thing that I recognized in your film, which is about how the interaction of people ultimately makes movies happen, right? It's not what you see on the screen, it's everything that goes behind the scenes that makes what you see on the screen possible. And Michael, as the visionary, was able to pull it off. It's not an easy thing to pull off a feature that you have to work to connect everything together. And, you know, I appreciated this film even more the second time I watched it. You know, I don't know if that's the way it's meant to be viewed. Is that the way it should be?
It's meant to be viewed where, you know, exactly like that, where you get deeper and deeper into it each time. You know, you make more and more connections throughout the rhizome of the film, because I don't think the film is based on a traditional 3-act plot structure. It's based on a rhizome. It's based, which is a theoretical model where instead of having, you know, beginnings and endings and arcs, you just have multiple in and out points that are connected to a multiplicity of different things. It could be other media, it could be you, because I think the film definitely demands of the audience co-creation and collaboration. Like, the film wants you to collaborate with the film to make the film. The film, it's like a tree that falls in the forest. If nobody is there, you don't hear it, you know? So it's sort of like the film exists finally in your mind. The film itself is just a trigger. Right. As you mentioned, it's just meant to trigger you to participate in the film. And, you know, so ideally it's the type of film that you would, you know, go to in the 60s, and then afterwards you would go to a cafe. After going to the cinema, you would go to a cafe with 6 of your friends and be like, no, it's about this. No, it's about that. What are you talking about? Haven't you read Lacan? You know, like that kind of stuff. So, and I wanted to bring that back, because I feel like so many films these days are just purely didactic, purely like, here, let me tell you what your life is about. Let me tell you who you are. And I wanted a film that more asked you who you were. And so it brings that out of the audience.
Well, you know, I love everything that you're saying. And unfortunately, I suffered through Lacan, Derrida, and all those in graduate school and many, many moons ago. But at the same time, I think it's refreshing to see somebody challenging the norms. And when you watch your film, you compared it to a rhizome. I saw it as almost like a DNA, right? It's there's lots of spirals, and you jump off one strand onto another. But they're all interconnected, and I really, you know, I dug a lot of that. And I started to see the connections when I saw everybody taking pictures. I think that's what helped me to understand that, you know, these are being viewed from different perspectives, but is ultimately part of the same whole.
Yes. There's multiple, like the Super 8 in the film is a gaze. It's Infinity's gaze. She's seen filming things in the movie. So there's a moment, for example, where Reginald St. Clair is narrating about Arcadia, and then it snaps into Super 8. Sierra and I talked about that, like, oh, should we shoot a shot where like you're hiding in the bushes and you're filming Arcadia? Because it switches into Infinity vision. Yeah. And we didn't want to do that. This is more of a TV trope. So like we use the media of Super 8 to connote or denote a vision, not a vision, a gaze. See, you know, the gaze of that particular character.
A female gaze, which is
a female gaze, maybe a queer gaze, a non-binary gaze. Like, you know, it's just, I was struggling several years ago with the male gaze. I was struggling several years ago with the fact that regardless of how you make a film, 99% of audiences, including women and all genders, will look at it through the male gaze. So I was trying to find a way to jam that. And that was one of the ways we so we were using Super 8 like very functionally in the film to and yeah, you're right on about that. All those perspectives, that's almost what the film is. It's like multiple perspectives on the film, please.
And I like that too, because it's not just shot on film. It's not just shot digitally. There's a real mix, and the special effects are just amazing. You know, I know some of them are a little cheesy, but I kept on flashing, I kept on flashing to Lucifer Rising. You know, where you see the spaceships at the end of I don't know if you've seen that movie.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah,
I was thinking Rocky Horror Picture Show.
That too.
Because I adore the way when the Dr. Frankenstein shoots the lightning bolts into Rocky at the end of the movie. They just composited neon signs or something into the film. I was like, this is great because it's meta. Like, we already know it's a special effect, so why make it look like a special effect? Make it look like a specific reference to a specific type of special effect. So I wanted everything like that to be rhizomatic, referential to like other media, other worlds.
And it worked. I think it works really well.
Thanks.
I mean, I also wanted to ask you about the soundtrack. I mean, did you get involved in that? Were there other people involved?
Not really. I mean, Mountain Hood was my band in my 20s. And I just ripped most of this. I mean, I recorded something like 20 albums.
Wow. And
we released like a greatest hits album, like I want to say like 10 years ago on on one of the record labels I work with, Gnome Life and Big Sur. They've been very active about continuing to release my music. I haven't been active for maybe 15 years, but there's this huge trove of music that also, because of the pandemic, I also felt like I wasn't super comfortable reaching out to bands because touring was their major source of income, and that collapsed. So I sort of thought, well, let me use my own music, because that's like sort of recycling or like being a little more mindful of people's realities right now. So that was one of the reasons. And I had a lot of tracks that nobody really, they'd been released like maybe like once in the UK on a limited edition release. And, you know, so I was like bringing those back. Most of the synth stuff was scored on a polyphonic synthesizer with like multiple voices, like 12 voices, a huge sound. And I also recorded some new stuff, like some of it was in the style of my band, and some of it was like, I don't know, like there's like for the press conference scene, I was going for like a Doogie Howser kind of, you know what I mean? Like that kind of sound, very peaceful and like after school especially, but upbeat. So it was fun, you know, just spending a lot of time on the music. Took a couple of months to do that all.
That's what I mean. The fact that it's got so many facets to it, but you know, and you have so many facets of the actors. My question, I guess, is for Sierra and Lary. Did you guys ever interact with each other, or were you separated and you never got to interact?
No, we haven't.
So the only way that you interact is with when you saw the movie, is that you knew that you were both in the film. So that's also another thing that you have to kind of, how do you make all of these things kind of flow, even though the actors are not always present? And I think that's a testament to you, Michael, being able to.
Well, thanks.
Yeah.
But they did interact. I just wanted to add one thing, though. When Lary was rapping, I took out the overalls. which Sierra has mentioned. And I showed them to her and I was like, do these fit you, Lary? And she was like, she looked at them, she held them over herself. She's like, these don't fit me. And I was like, I'll bet you anything that whoever plays Infinity, because we didn't even have CR, we just started shooting the movie. Well, which I just wanted to, please, go ahead.
How long did it take you to?
It took about 3 months. We shoot on a basis that's more like the old Bergman, like the old motion picture style of like taking about 3 months to shoot a film.
The editing didn't take you 3 months.
The editing took 1.5 years.
That's what I thought.
It was
so the whole
hard.
Was about 2 years from gestation.
Yeah. And everyone was depressed. Everyone was just like, why is it taking so long? Like, people were emailing me like, can I have, but I'm very good about like, just like, oh, hey, what's up? Like, here's some footage for you. Like, I don't like, I'm not really like withholding or anything like that. So.
Well, we've been talking about this wonderful film. Let me just share screen. Let me see if I can set this up before we do this. Okay, it's already set up. I go down here and I'll share screen. And I want to show the trailer that's on your IMDb page, just to give people a taste. Hopefully it'll play.
I'm going to play with commercials. Oh, no, it didn't. Go for it.
Reality interests me less than truth. That's why I take pictures. I took this picture inside a dream. My body was gone. All my organs were one. I had become the underlying reality. I was made of stars. My body was made of stars.
Oh, I love that. Oh, so many references. 2001, Tree of Life. Mm-hmm. I think when Dave Bowman goes into the monolith, he says, my God, it's full of stars. So I thought of all those. I don't know if you're a Kubrick fan, but
I am. Yeah, no, absolutely.
I loved all of that, and it's very nice teaser to the film itself. But I wanted to share screen one more time. Oh shit, what did I do here? Let me see. Okay, that's not what I wanted. This one, I want to let people know how they can buy tickets. So one more time with the share screen, then we'll come back. So if you notice behind me, there's this lawn sign which says njfilmfest.com. You would go to our website, which would bring you to the welcome page. And then all you have to do is hit current events, which will basically just scroll down. It'll get to you. To this button, and you press on that, which takes you to our Eventive site, which has got all of the films that we'll be showing. And then, of course, the Super 8 stuff is on the 19th, and we need to go to feature. Here we go. And then there's a beautiful shot of Lary there, where you can buy tickets, and gives you more information about the films. I listed as many of the film people that I found on your Film Freeway site. But if people want to buy tickets, they just click on this button. And you can see that Pro 8 is our sponsor. They've been with us for a long time. I don't know if you process your stuff through them.
We process with, Phil at Pro 8. He did all the processing.
They've been a huge sponsor of our program. But anyway, you can buy tickets here. It's $15. And you know, it's a worthwhile investment in a nonprofit film festival that's there to support artistic cinema like Hallucinations. And I hope, you know, that folks will buy tickets and come and check out this magical film that really needs to be seen to be appreciated. There's so many wonderful actors, so many interesting ways that they're presented on the screen. The editing is just so tight. It's just really great. So
thank you.
It's a wonderful film. And I want to thank Sierra, Larry, and Michael for joining us today for this Q&A. And I hope to see you guys at sometime in the near future in the flesh. It would really be nice to meet you all. And thanks so much for being part of the Q&A.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks, Al.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.